Okay, it's 6 o'clock, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Looks like everyone is here but Rachel. We do have one addition to the agenda, which was about the strategic plan approval. Noting that, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make motion. I second.
Motions. Second, Gerald seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Does not appear we have a public comment, so on to the consent agenda.
Cheryl, did you want to review anything on bills?
I almost forgot, and I didn't come in, but I did review them online. Nothing really jumped out at me. But all sorts of good business going on.
You're in business.
You're in business, yes.
As far as personnel, a couple of things that I'll just call to note. First, you'll see Erin Botten. She is our new community education director, and so she'll be starting July 1st. And we'll have just a short little overlap with Chris O'Brien, which will be nice to bring her on board. And then the second year of the non-probationary assignments, that is just the second year of the negotiated contracts. So there's nothing super unique to those. Donations, I do want to just call out a couple of those. Take it over to June 23rd. We have a donation from the Legion for the band and choir trip. Thank you for the ongoing support. And a donation from Casey's for the elementary school. So again, the school district just in general, we couldn't do what we do without the support of our community. So some extra thanks for those donations. And then I would stand for any questions.
Hearing none, I'm looking for a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Bruce makes the motion, Gerald seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Hearing none, the motion carries. On to the communication items.
So for my administrative report today, I'm going to invite up Jesse Rasmussen. We've been looking at some different practices that would apply at the within the handbook for the secondary school. And so we wanted to have just an opportunity to kind of get that in front of the board to share some information. So I asked Jesse to join me today. So Jesse, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you. And you can see up there a document that we put together. So as you know, our strategic plan outlined, the one that we're voting on today, outlined some goal priorities for us. And 3 of those goal priorities I just want to touch on today. One is to ensure consistent, high-quality instruction in every classroom. Another one is to increase student engagement in daily learning experiences. And the third one is to improve student achievement in math and reading. And you can see those up there. So we've had extensive conversations in our leadership team over the last year around these 2 handbook procedural updates. And I kind of want to share those with you and where we've landed. So the first one that we took a look at is our cell phone and communication procedure. And so really in light of these strategic plan goals, we would like to make a change to how our cell phone procedure. And kind of some background information for you, we have a very successful middle school cell phone procedure called Away for the Day. And in that, students store their cell phones either in their bag or their locker at the beginning of the day, and then they take them out at the end. And it was one of the most positive changes I have ever been part of here at Paynesville Schools. It was amazing to see the difference in especially common areas like lunchrooms, to have it go from one day we had 40 students sitting in the gym all on their cell phones to the next day everybody interacting and playing with each other and being involved. So it was a very positive change. So what our leadership team would like to do is to extend that. So that was our 6th through 8th policy, and we're going to extend that up through 12th grade. So we'll have Away for the Day through 12th grade is the direction we'd like to move. So, and then the second kind of handbook update that I wanted to talk a lot about, and we've looked at this, and this one kind of connects to priority 1.1, and that is looking at kind of optimal learning environments and what is kind of the optimal space for students to learn in. Well, right now, if you were to walk around the school here during a school day, you'll notice that almost every student is carrying a backpack. And so when you have classrooms that get upwards of around 30 students, you now have a room with 30 backpacks in it, clogging the aisles, and it ends up being a school safety issue where we have, teachers could trip over backpacks to get themselves hurt, or students, or you have backpacks in places like wood shop where kids are working with tools, art rooms, places like that. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to restrict large bags. So in here, the policy update or the procedural update we looked at, it says backpacks, duffel bags, and oversized totes are not permitted in classrooms, hallways, and common areas during school hours. All such items will be stored in assigned lockers immediately upon arrival and remain in there until the final dismissal bell. So we'd like students to store their backpacks in their lockers and then go to their lockers as needed throughout the school day instead of everybody carrying backpacks. So those are the two kind of handbook changes that we're looking at making, kind of big items. And then after some discussion, we'll send this out to parents. That's the direction we're going to move.
So I know this is a little bit different because typically this would have been on a work session agenda item, and with Jesse's absence, I really wanted to be able to bring that forward to you here today. So I would maybe open up just for any questions or conversation of things that you'd like to maybe just raise.
So the cell phone thing is going on all over the nation. So that's not new. But tell me about the backpack.
Yeah.
Where's that coming from? Is that, I hear about cell phone all the time. I've not heard a word anywhere, a little bit of a new sound.
Yeah, so my leadership team brought it to me, it was kind of news to me. And so I started asking around neighboring principals, and I would say the vast majority of schools that I talked to already have a backpack thing in their handbook where they don't allow backpacks. And I can give you names of schools like Sauk Rapids Rice, St. Cloud schools don't allow them, Wilmer doesn't allow them. And so
one of the things that's a little bit different is we don't require students to carry textbooks anymore. And back in the day, when you had textbooks and you were going to your lockers and you were prioritizing your space, I guess, first couple of classes, you'd store everything in your backpack. They're assigned a Chromebook and they maybe have a notebook, they'll have a writing utensil, but they don't have the volume of supplies that we used to have. I would say when we went to the I Love You Guys crisis response training, we had an opportunity to visit with our school resource officer. For very obvious reasons, backpacks to them are highly concerning because of what can be stored and hidden in backpacks. Now, that wasn't my first lens, but at the same time, it was a consideration as we engaged in discussion as well.
So will you allow something that protects the Chromebook that happens to be like a folder-like thing or?
Yeah, like a sleeve. All the Chromebooks do have, they do have protective cases on them. So
almost every kid's carry water or something with them also.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that was carried in their backpacks normally.
Yeah, or their water bottle that they carry around,
they carry their
and
water.
we'll still allow them to carry water bottles, but they can store their backpacks in the lockers at the beginning of the day. And I think Janelle hit on this. We don't have a lot that we require students to bring to class anymore, and so most students have a Chromebook and a notebook and some writing utensils that they can make it through the day with. So I think with some strategic planning, students may only have to go back to their lockers once or twice throughout the school day.
I guess I don't have a problem with it because I went to school and there were no backpacks.
Yeah.
And we had books, lots of books.
And I think the other piece that Jesse and I talked about was we do recognize that this is a shift and this is something different that we wanted to get in front of parents so there could be some conversation if we have concern, things that we haven't talked through. As Jesse mentioned, and I think the leadership team has been talking about this for quite some time and kind of going back and forth and I think they've really considered many options, but we wanted to make sure that we have an opportunity to hear from families as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. And then the next item would be the revenues and expenditures. There are minimal changes. They are the end of the year changes, but it is the same process that we've been looking at. In response to our last meeting, one of the things that I am doing is I am looking at some of the way that we track this data and trying to pull it into a little bit more user-friendly, like a one-page kind of summary. So just know that I'm using, as we move forward, I'm gonna look at some different ways to report this information to the board and to the community, but it'll still be using this data that we've been tracking year over year. So that there aren't any significant flags in those reports, but I just wanted to let you know that I am looking at that as a method to communicate how we're doing from a revenue and expenditure perspective.
Okay, next we got committee and organizational reports. I guess we had the community ed meeting earlier today, other than the retirement of Chris and the hiring of Aaron. Probably the most notable thing is we're gonna have, on Monday, we have our rural child care meeting, so should be stuff out, or people can still sign until, I believe, tomorrow is cut off.
If we extended the deadline.
Yeah. I guess not hearing anything else. There is no old business, so on to new business. We got the 2026, 2027 preliminary budget approval.
There have been no changes since this has been walked through over the last couple of meetings, so it would be looking for approval.
Okay. Looking for a motion.
Make that motion.
Prince makes motions.
I'll second.
Cheryl seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carries. We've got the custodial master agreement for 2025 through 2027.
And this was the last agreement and bargaining contract for the season.
I'll make a motion to approve the custodial master agreement for 25-27
A second.
as presented.
Bruce motions, Thomas seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Next, we got food service bids.
So the food service is required to go out every 2 years, and so you're going to see the bakery bid. So I'll pull that up for everybody to kind of take a look at. These were posted, but at the same time, it is nice just to do a quick look at those. For my old eyes, I'm going to make that quite a bit bigger. And you'll see that we had one submission for the bakery, which is panel gold. And then you're going to see for the dairy, we had 2 submissions. And you'll see 2 submissions for the dairy bid. We had a bid from Cass Clay or Kemp's and Stony Creek Dairy. You'll see each of those price indicators. They both had similar inflator language. So we really looked at the price per unit. And so, as you can see, based on the price per unit, the recommendation is to go with the Stony Creek Farms. Stony Creek Dairy, I'm sorry.
Looking for a motion?
I make a motion.
I'll second.
Thomas motions, Bruce seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That was, that would be what, 5-1, motion carries. Okay. Next, we got City of Paynesville tip proposal.
A strategic plan was inserted about that.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, was on this. Okay, strategic plan.
Do you see it on your document?
No, that one's H. Back to tip next.
Do you want
Must have.
to, look up?
Yeah, I'll just.
Okay.
Okay,
So the strategic plan, really what we would be looking for is just a formal adoption and approval of the plan. As it's presented here, there are no changes from what we discussed last work session, or just a week ago. But the goals that were, and it was really about realignment and focusing versus having segmented years. And then knowing that the tracking and the scorecard will be part of that process as well. So this is really seeking the board's formal approval for the implementation of the strategic plan.
Make a motion to approve the strategic plan.
Gerald motions, Bruce seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Next, we got the City of Paynesville TIF proposal.
So a TIF district is, so we've had a little bit of conversation over the past couple of years about two different tax increment financing or tax, I guess, incentives to really bring business and industry to the city. The last one that we talked about was Lewis Industries, and then the one prior to that was Nelson Plastics. Nelson Plastics and this Spanier Metalworks is the same type of a scenario. So I'm going to show you there's a letter that's included, and the letter really is about, it's really just putting the district on notice that the city is going to be holding a hearing to create this tax district for Spanier Plastics, okay? Your responsibility as a board is to raise any concerns or questions or comments that would be presented to the city to be had at the hearing. If there aren't any, we just don't have to provide any, okay? The next document that's probably the most important is the document with the financials, okay? This document, it is, I will acknowledge there's a lot here, and there's a lot of legalese and jargon, so I'll kind of make it as simple as possible. The bottom line is so Spanier Metalworks is requesting an addition to their building. And when they add an addition to their building, that will bring increased tax value. So in theory, as they have, as they have more building, they are going to have to pay more taxes. So therefore, the city, the county, and the school district would earn more money from their taxes. The intention of a TIF district is that the money that instead of coming to the school district, the county, or the city goes back for a set amount of time so that Spanier Metalworks can build their addition. In this, so as you see, there's all sorts of legalese in here of who's doing what, the type of the place that it is, and I'm gonna just scroll. So if people are watching, I'm sorry, because this kind of gives a little bit of cautiousness when you're watching the numbers come forward. So I just want to get to the numbers. That's really probably what people are most curious about is, so what does this mean, okay? So these last few pages have the property values and the tax implications, okay? So what I did is I just pulled it out so that I can get a little further here. There we go. So here's the different exhibits. So over the course of 9 years, the approximate value for the city is around $9,868. For the county is about $7,055. And for the school district, it's about $2,817. So that's the value that that each year we would not be getting, that would instead go back to the development of their industry. The intention again behind this is so that they can expand business with the hope of bringing more employees into our community. The one piece I didn't see, and maybe if somebody looked in there and saw it, they may have seen something. I didn't see how many jobs were proposed or what the level of employment. I didn't see that. And
They're almost always based on that.
Yeah,
There's-
that'd be like, I find it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I thought we had that in there, so
And I didn't see that, so that could be a question that the board would, if the board would like that information, that,
Could it be different because this is, did Nelson's have a job based on theirs? Lewis's did.
Lewis
this
is good.
is
But
bid.
there's a couple of different ones, and it could be that it's not based upon job. This appears to be increased valuation
Yeah.
to future taxes. And maybe it was there, but I didn't see it.
So the process is identical to what, Nelson Plastics did. And from a board's consideration, again, the board isn't going to authorize or deny. You will, if there's anything that you would like me to put into a letter to share with them, I'm happy to do that. But it's really, this will go to the public hearing on, July 6th, July 13th is when it's gonna go to a public hearing. So, and this has to go to the county board, it has to go to the, school district, and then it goes to the city.
And then it's one and done, and it basically there for 10 years.
9 years.
The
this one's
surprise to me was the administrative fee that the city's putting on. It's pretty sizable, actually. And that was a little bit of a surprise, because we're all taking a hit. But then they put on administrative fee, which I
Yeah,
know we're public, but it kind of reduces the hit a little bit.
not for the city. Well,
Yeah, and that, I don't have it on top of my head, but I thought it was $16,000. That's a pretty good chunk.
I don't recall off the top of my head, and I frankly can't read the small numbers, but
Yeah.
right now. Any comments or things you'd like me to bring forward, or just let them know that we've reviewed it? If there's,
I'd be curious, the same thing
Okay.
Thomas had, if it is job related, what it entails for jobs, because most tax increment financings are based on, just not on increase in tax value, based upon jobs created, which from our standpoint, bringing families down,
correct.
from our standpoint, possibly increase enrollment. I mean,
I will bring that to them. All right, I will invite up Rachel for our annual QComp update, which is an informational item.
Hi, so I'm Rachel Nelson and I'm a first grade teacher in the district, and I also serve as a co-coordinator for our district QComp committee along with Marie Grothy. And just as a just overview to start us off, QComp is a voluntary state program to provide alternative compensation to promote teacher leadership, professional development, improve teacher evaluation, professional growth, and student achievement. And the 24-25 school year was a review and transition year. We had many new leaders last year when I gave my report, and we had a lot of plan revisions. The 25-26 year was really focused on consistency and alignment of our plans. The QComp leadership team worked really closely with the district-wide staff development committee, as well as the teacher development and evaluation committees, to ensure that our plans and initiatives were working in coordination so that our staff felt like we weren't doing a bunch of different things, but rather we were coming together in our work. There are currently 8 teacher leadership positions that are funded by our QComp funds, and those positions are held by 21 different individuals in our district. So this shows that we've had a continued increase in leadership capacity as more experienced teachers have taken on new responsibilities. This year we had a large number of mentors for probationary staff, so that 21 included 11 mentors. And we also had some additional stipends for leadership roles on the teacher development and evaluation committee that did that work. Our district QComp committee is responsible for setting some site goals each year for student growth and achievement at both the elementary and secondary levels. And our goals this year were based on the FastBridge assessments, and both the secondary and elementary schools met those goals with significant increases. And so that was great to see. As far as professional development, this was the first year that our district created a PLC, so professional learning community calendar, where teachers knew ahead of time exactly when PLCs were going to meet. And there was more clear agendas and expectations for the work for those PLCs. And making those changes this year raised the level of expectation for our PLC groups and increased our accountability by making the work consistent and transparent. The QComp program also requires alignment with the teacher evaluation laws. And so we worked, again, really hard with the teacher evaluation committee this year to make sure that the new teacher evaluation and development plan aligned with the expectations for QComp. And we had 100% of our teachers that met all of the expectations. There's one and also for their own personal goals, where they have to set professional growth goals and personal student achievement goals for their groups of students rather than site goals. We had 100% of our teachers meet those goals. There's one area that is optional, and that's committee participation, and we had 90% of our teachers participate in committees this year for an additional small stipend amount. Our 25-26 revenue this year was about $151,000. We get $169 per student, and our expenditures were $132,000. And so we're underspending our budget right now, and we have a remaining fund balance of about $109,000 moving forward. So we'll add our new funding for the upcoming year. This area, QComp, has been a targeted program for state cuts, and so we have to keep that in mind moving forward. So we're hoping to preserve some funding in case that were to happen. And then we also were able to get some additional revenue this year from Resource Training and Solutions through a grant that is funding some training and support for our new teacher mentorship and induction program. And we had about 10 individuals participate in 4 days of instructional coaching training and planning for those improvements to our new teacher mentorship and induction program. And so we will get some additional we got some additional funding for this past year with that, and we'll get some additional funding this upcoming year, also related to that program through that grant.
Any questions about QComp and how things are coming together or how they work together?
That's good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Then we got for upcoming meetings. Just a reminder for everyone, we only have one meeting in July, and that's on July 15th. And then that was the last of our normal items. This next item on the agenda is a closed session. Minnesota Open Meeting Law, Minnesota Statute Section 13D.05, Subdivision 3B allows us to close a meeting to engage in attorney-client privilege discussions. Our governing body seeks to meet with its attorney to obtain confidential legal advice relating to a pending litigation. During the closed session, the attorney will update us on status of the case and proposal to mediate. There's a need for absolute confidentiality because our position would be compromised if such discussions took place in public and could be overheard by adverse parties. It is in our best interest to obtain legal advice in a confidential setting to maintain the attorney-client privilege. And I will hereby entertain a motion to close the meeting pursuant to the attorney-client privilege.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Cheryl, second by Gerald. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, we are now closing the meeting. Recording?
Yep, we are recording.
Okay, in that case, then I am looking for a motion to open the meeting.
So move.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Bruce, second by Cheryl, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
For the record, it's 7:03.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
All opposed? Okay, hearing none, we are now open.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, Gerald motions, Cheryl seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned.